Hello, my name is Cindy. This is my client Joseph. So last week I gave Joseph a list of exercises within an exercise plan, and today we're going to go ahead and demonstrate three different lower body exercises. So I'm actually going to be walking him through each and every exercise, making sure that we have the correct form, and also letting him know what some of the most common faults in each exercise actually is. And we want to make sure that he does go through every exercise with having good form, good posture, and not knowing exactly what it is that he needs to accomplish within each one. So we're gonna go ahead and get started at the gym. So this is one of the movements that was chosen by my client. He wanted to try barbell squats with a plate underneath. So what I'm basically gonna do is pick up the bar just as I would for a squat and make sure that my heels are up onto a plate. We want to make sure that our hands are evenly apart. For some, it's outside of shoulder. I prefer it to be underneath the shoulders, so your hands should be underneath your shoulders, right about so. So just like I explained earlier, we're simply going to bring up the heels onto the plate. Our feet should be a little bit less than shoulder width apart. And as we squat down, we want to make sure that we embrace the core, push the hips back, and push the knees out. I'll show it in a different view. Once again, we put the heels on the plate, making sure we brace the core and push the hips back. This next movement that we incorporated into the exercise program is actually a sumo deadlift. So it's basically like the same as a regular deadlift, except for your stance is a lot wider. So the distance that the bar is actually traveling, or the weight is actually traveling, is a lot shorter. So you want to make sure that you have either even grip, one hand over the other, hands right underneath the shoulders. And like I said, your stance is going to be wider and your toes are actually going to be pointed out. Brace the core, making sure that we're pushing the knees out, and we're up, down, up. Here's a different angle of the sumo deadlift. Same deal, toes pointed out. Make sure we embrace the core. Another exercise that we wanted to incorporate was the split squat. So just like a regular squat, you're gonna pick up your bar, place it on top of your shoulders back here. And all we're gonna do is place one foot forward, and then we're gonna place the other foot a little bit further back. We wanna make sure that that back knee is a little bit behind your hips. Make sure that you're bracing your core and you drop that front knee at a 90-degree angle like so. Drop that back foot a little bit to make sure that that knee is behind the hip. So we want to make sure we pick up the bar evenly. We want to make sure we have the hands and the weight distributed evenly. And we want to make sure we bring up our heels onto the plate. Feet a little bit as close to shoulder width apart as possible. And then we want to go ahead and drop. So we want to push the hips back, make sure we keep the chest up, push the knees out. We're going to be attempting the sumo deadlift. So make sure that the feet are further apart, toes are pointed out, hands are underneath the shoulders when you grab the bar. And we want to bend the knees a little bit, so we want to keep the spine neutral. Yeah, there we go. And we want to keep the chest up, and we also want to engage the core and power through whenever you're ready. Good. Good, way to engage the core. Now we're gonna attempt the split squat. So we're gonna have one foot in front of the other, making sure that we drop the hips evenly, engage the core, and that front knee is gonna drop down to a 90-degree angle, and we're gonna balance off the toes of that hind leg. So whenever you're ready. Engage the core. Now we're gonna attempt the squat with a plate underneath the heels. So in order to begin, we're gonna go ahead and power clean the bar over to the shoulders. Wanna make sure you keep good form. Good. Bring it onto the shoulders comfortably, and then we wanna step onto the plates with the heels. Same thing as the weight that we warmed up with. You want to make sure you engage the core, drop the hips back. Good. Good. Exhale. So now we're going to be attempting the sumo deadlift. So just like before, we want to keep the feet apart, a pretty wide range outside of the shoulders, toes pointed outward. And we want to keep the hands underneath the shoulders on the bar. Make sure we keep that neutral spine and engage the core. Good. Good. Okay, now we're gonna be attempting the split squat. So you wanna bring one leg forward and the other leg back. You wanna make sure that the front leg goes down into a 90-degree angle. You wanna make sure that you're on your toes with your hind leg, making sure that the knee is a little bit behind your hips and the hind leg. Always make sure to brace the core whenever you're ready. I'm just gonna go ahead and demonstrate some of the common mistakes for the lower body exercises that we just did. So for the squats with the plate underneath the heels, some of the common mistakes consist of not having neutral spine and engaging the core. So we tend to curve our back too much, or because there is a plate underneath our heels, we shift the weight forward too far instead of pushing the weight back. Or we don't have neutral spine and we look up. For the split squat, some of the common mistakes would be either having your foot too far forward and too far back, causing the knee to hit the ground, or not engaging the core and curving the spine, or trying to go down, trying to place all of our weight on our back heel, making it almost impossible for us to actually get that exercise in. So some of the common mistakes for the sumo deadlift would actually be not having our feet wide enough apart. So we have our feet too close, our toes pointed out, creating a bigger range that the bar actually needs to come up when the range should be shorter. The same as with squats and other deadlifts, our common mistake is not engaging the core and throwing off the spine. And one of the biggest mistakes that I do actually see with the sumo deadlift is incorporating too much hips and causing for the hips to swing forward as we come up.